Let's do it. Welcome everyone to week 4 of the NAFA Advisor Ambassador Program. My name is Zach Kuehls and I work in the Marketing Communications Department at NAFA. I am pleased to be joined with Gafar Chowdhury today, who is a member of NAFA Greater Washington, D.C. And Gafar gets very involved in NAFA in the Greater Washington level, but also nationally, as he was just selected as a 440 recipient for Greater Washington, D.C., weren't you?
I was, yeah. Right.
That's awesome. Aside from that amazing leadership, Gafar is here to just sort of impart his wisdom and knowledge and how to get involved in leadership, not just within the industry that we're in, but also outside of that as well, to just sort of diversify yourself and put yourself in different positions throughout your life. So, Gafar, I'm going to turn the program over to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thanks for the introduction, Zach. Once again, my name is Gafar Chowdhury. I'm currently a managing director and advisor with First Financial Group. I've been with FFG for about 9 years now. I've been in the industry for about 13. I have a personal planning practice as well as, having a management role within my firm in growing and developing my team, specifically our offices in Bethesda, Maryland, and in Reston, Virginia. My office is located at our HQ, which is Bethesda, Maryland, and I currently have about 6 individuals on my team, and that is continuing to grow as we continue to be busy during these quite interesting times. I'm happy to be on one of these sessions again with all of you. Since the group is relatively small, I would love to start with just introductions, since everyone's kind of from all over the country. Starting with how long you've been in the industry, obviously who you are, if you work with a firm or are independent, that would be good to know as well. And then anything you want to kind of make sure you take away today. I'll certainly take note of that and make sure that we discuss it in the 45 minutes we have. I'm going to start off with Andrew. If you would do a quick introduction, buddy, that would be great.
Yeah, so my name is Andrew Pyburn. I am in Austin, Texas, with Cetera Investors. We are part of Cetera Financial Group. Been in the business about 3.5 years, started with a captive broker-dealer, Foresters Financial, and then we were bought out by Cetera about a year ago. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Was there anything else you wanted to do as part of my introduction?
Yep. That's fantastic. Austin is one of my favorite places. We usually go there once a year at least. Unfortunately, this year may not be possible, but happy to hear you're doing okay, and Austin's a good place to be.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah. Let's go to Jim.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Van Arsdale. I'm in Duxbury, Massachusetts, which is not far from Plymouth, Mass, if that helps. And I have something really special in common with Zach, in that we both went to University of Missouri, Mizzou. I've been doing what I'm doing now for the last 10 years, since 2009, and I'm working with a second practice that I've been involved in. The first part of that decade, I was a career agent with Mass Mutual, and then also was a registered rep and et cetera in their broker dealer. I changed my contract status earlier this year and just changed a year and a half ago. I changed the way I was doing business, and I'm focusing now exclusively on the design of executive benefit plans for credit unions. So I'm working my background prior to the last 10 years has been in almost exclusively in credit unions. So I'm just working in that marketplace, and the practice that I'm working with they're almost exclusively in that market as well. So we're designing SERPs. They're split dollar life insurance for the most part, plans for credit union CEOs and other C-level officers.
Excellent. And Jim, what would be great for you to kind of take away, if it's one thing to kind of take away from today's conversation?
Yeah, good question. I didn't answer that. And today it's about leadership and help me. I think that I was really excited after I sat in on all of last Wednesday's session about advocacy and part of Thursdays as much as I could between some other calls, and particularly Wednesday. And I have a personal interest in advocacy, just because I think there's it's really about relationship building. I think it's something that can be a little bit intimidating or foreign to people, calling your state rep and things like that. And they love getting those calls. They love hearing from us. And but then also in terms of leadership, then what at this stage of my career, how I might contribute to NAFA and the advancement of the industry, and seeing how that balances with what is a pretty demanding practice in my own personal business, and how you juggle those things and how you make that work.
Sure. Definitely, we'll touch on that. Thank you. Let's next go to, is it Wrong? R-O-N-G, Lynn? Wrong, can you hear us? All right, she may be trying to figure out her audio. I will move on to Luke Rossi. Can you do a quick introduction?
Hi, everyone. Luke Rossi here with Assurance Agency. We're based out of Schaumburg, Illinois. We sell commercial insurance, anything from business insurance, including general liability to workers' compensation and employee health and benefits insurance as well. I've been in the insurance industry for about 5 years now. Graduated from Illinois Wesleyan University in 2015, and always looking to learn and see what I can gather from different points of view.
Excellent. Anything specific that would be good takeaway for you today, Luke, around leadership or best practices, development of your business?
I always have a problem with delegating and letting go. So it would be helpful to learn of some good strategies to sort of let other people do the work and feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a great segue to the conversation around being an effective leader, maximizing your efficiency, and then we'll talk a little bit more about, being a leader in the community, to your peers, to NAFA, and all of those things. So Luke, that is actually a challenge that I also had in the early stages of my career, and probably even in the middle of my career. I'm 13 years in, and that problem, was a reoccurring theme in my practice. And, just being a type A individual, I did like things done a certain way, and wanted to make sure that the experience that, individuals that were going through my practice, they had a similar experience. So, it took a while to get there, but, when I did let go, I'm saying that in quotations, I basically allowed, a individual to gain my trust and help that person transition using our development, personnel and practice managers to be able to transition that individual to better understand how to do certain tasks and better understand how I manage my business. Because quite frankly, given the high activity that I have, I don't necessarily have a lot of time to sit down with someone one-on-one and kind of educate them on a 30-day boot camp of how to manage my practice, how to deal with my clients. So it was great to kind of delegate that to a team that I knew, that I trusted, that I knew had a good track record in doing this. And that helped me let go a little bit. And I can tell you, about 3 years into having done that, and the amount of time that I've been able to allocate to things that I enjoy doing, that I'm good at doing, like prospecting, building relationships, being an effective leader in the community, that has paid off, tenfold, right? So yes, I totally understand your reservation as far as, the fear of letting go or, not having control. In the first maybe couple of months, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But as long as you have an open line of communication with that individual that you're delegating to, or have a team of individuals, one or two individuals that's helping facilitate that learning experience for that person, I think that will put you at a good, place from a, efficiency, growth, and again, focusing on different things that you want to kind of do in the big picture of continuing to grow as an individual, as a professional, as a business owner, etc. Okay, so hopefully that helped a little bit. Any questions around that? Any questions around anything I've said around kind of delegating responsibilities? Okay. Next, I want to talk a little bit about being an effective leader in the community, especially during these, again, unique times that we're experiencing with the whole COVID crisis. And it looks like we may be in this current state of doing business for the remainder of this year, and who knows, maybe into 2021. If you can do whatever you can to reach out to individuals that you haven't talked to in a while, without any intention of, hey, this is going to be a potential client, or something's going to come out of this. What I've been doing over the last 2.5 months, along with obviously, heightening communication with my existing book of business and clients, is reaching out to anyone that's in my natural circle of professionals, of business owners, whatever, just to kind of see how they're doing, right? It doesn't hurt to send a quick text or even better, a phone call to say, hey, Andrew, it's been a while. I just wanted to catch up with you. How's everything going? How are you? How's your family? And I've personally found that a lot of people, they acknowledge that, and it's a really positive and good outcome, right? And it's just, again, showing your presence and telling people that, or showing people that you care. And I think that could mean a lot over the course of just developing relationships and being, a pillar in the community, and showing your proactive nature, right? Things don't happen by just sitting at your desk and, sending emails, right? Even though we're all really virtual over the internet nowadays, it helps to be unique. It helps to be different. It helps to be, that individual reaching out versus waiting for someone to reach out to you, right? I'm curious to kind of hear, how have you guys been kind of maintaining your contacts, maintaining your relationships over the last 2.5, 3 months?
For me, it's really been about providing resources and trying to be there and helpful for those who need it. Anything you can provide in this troubling time without expecting anything in return, it usually puts you in a decent position.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Any good, positive?
During this time, what's happened is interest rates have fallen so much, particularly over the last 3 months, then those rate drops have an impact on our plans, if not immediately, then eventually, because the plans are funded with whole life and they're participating. So they've got dividends. And if we see dividends drop, and then that will impact the plan and the amount of cash value at some point in the future that's available for retirement benefit. So that really drives us to be in touch with clients and talk them through that. And if we need to refine the plan or make any changes to it, then there's quite a process that's involved with that. So we generally have plenty to talk about. And I think in this environment too, because our clients own whole life and IUL and other products that, at times in this kind of a market are called into question, if you will. when the market's so volatile and Hertz is going under, is there pressure on my life insurance company? And then it just gives us a good opportunity to talk to people, ask questions, and actively listen to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you're reaching out, Jim, are you reaching out and initially talking about their contracts, or are you reaching out to catch up and then understanding if they need anything and then transitioning to that conversation?
Would you ask, I didn't quite understand that question. Would you ask that again?
So yes, when you're reaching out to your, I guess, clients in this respect, are you reaching out with initially, updating them what's going on with dividends and kind of giving them a market update? Or are you reaching out to first and foremost find out how they're doing, if they need anything, and then following up with, hey, just wanted to also talk about your contract. We see this, this, and this.
Yeah, it's more the latter than the former. So we're not leading with, here's what's going on in the market and here's what's good, so much as how are you doing and what's important to you right now, and what are you prioritizing in your work, and what questions can I ask, and what concerns do you have?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say that. I think that's so crucial during this time because first and foremost, we want to be, more on the connecting, perspective in terms of understanding how individuals are doing, right? Because they could be having a nightmare scenario at home, and then you're calling them to give them an update on their policy or contract, and that could not be more or least relevant during that time, right? So as long as you're kind of having that conversation in that order and kind of being empathetic, before being, kind of a solicitor, if you will, I think that is really, really important. What about you, Andrew?
I mean, in the beginning, when the market dropped, the first thing, of course, was calling all of my larger accounts, my recent retirees, pre-retirees, and just keeping them calm, keeping them updated. But since then, it's been calling clients and just checking in, seeing how they're doing, seeing if they have any questions or wanted some help understanding things, budget resources in case, finances have been a little bit strained, things like that. And also been reaching out to some people that, I would normally see at networking mixers that I haven't seen in a while to just check in on them and see how they're doing, whether they're clients or just friends or whatever. So yeah, a little bit all of that.
Yeah. Are you guys participating in any virtual type of networking? Or those networking events that you used to attend in person, are they now online?
I have a regular networking group that meets every Thursday. We've still continued to do that online. And there have been a couple of networking mixers that I've had the opportunity to go to. I haven't had the chance to jump on any that were actual just straight mixers. But I've been interested to see what that would be like. So I'm hoping to get on one eventually.
Yeah. And with the technology of Zoom or some other, virtual platform, is it pretty easy to interact with others given we're not really in person? I'd be interested to get some feedback.
It hasn't been too bad. The networking group that I meet with, we have a pretty structured meeting plan. So we're able to maintain that structure and still have the first 15 minutes to all, kind of catch up with each other. So it's worked out pretty well. I haven't been to any, big group networking where everyone's just kind of trying to talk to each other. I'm not sure how well that translates to an online platform where really only one person can speak at a time.
Sure. So your group is probably what, 10 to 15 people?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, that was good to know, because I personally have not done any online networking, really just been leveraging the relationships that I've had over the last couple of months. But on that note, as far as being a leader during this time, has anyone had any experiences on sitting on a board or, being in any kind of committee for any organization that's in your community, whether it's a church or a nonprofit group, youth organization, anything like that?
Yeah, are we active in that? You're asking if we're active in something like
Yeah.
that?
Have you had experience and/or are you active? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I'm really active in our church, and we have, I'm on the board. So we have 2 meetings for that every month. We have a Wednesday evening meeting. We have our annual meeting coming up, and we've had meetings to prepare for that. And so there's a lot of that going on.
Okay, excellent. And then have you been able to continue to reach out to individuals from that national group of I guess, people that are members of the church or anything like that? Do you guys host community events outside of?
Yeah, but not for business, but
Yeah.
yeah, just for just to help find ways to help, whether it's to contribute to a local food pantry and some things like that.
Yeah. So there are ways where you can leverage or better utilize that relationship in showing yourself as a leader in the community. It's great that you're on the board, Jim, and I think that's really, really important for everyone to get involved within their respective communities. Again, whether it's a church or a nonprofit or just a organization that you care about or had positive experience with, right? Along with doing those board-related activities and, tending to those meetings and things like that, I would encourage you to kind of think outside the box and host different educational and/or fund events that you could send out to that community, right? So one of the things that I did to kind of give you guys an example of what I'm kind of talking about, when this whole thing started, I work with a coach, and I've been working with the coach that I currently have for about 5 years now. We came up with the idea of, hosting a virtual magic show as an appreciation event, right? It was simply, not thinking about rate of return on my investment or anything like that. Just something unique, something different, something to offer, my connections, not only, my clients, but just to say, hey, this is something nice I'd like to do for everyone that I know. And I can't tell you guys the positive feedback that we received from hosting this event. It was an hour in the evening on a Friday night. We had multiple families come in via Zoom, and just a great interactive way to kind of get people involved. And also, I think, to increase the awareness of who I am as an individual, not necessarily by my profession, but by just like being, again, a leader within the community and just offering, a fun activity, right? So I think that's one of the ways, especially during these unique times, we can kind of make ourselves a little bit different and not really take the prospecting approach, right? Hey, we're marketing to people to try to get business, but take the approach of, hey, I'm out there in the community. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out. But in the meantime, I'd like to do this for you, for your family. And I think long term, it's going to help you grow your personal brand, not only your professional brand, right, but your personal brand in terms of telling the community who you are as an individual, the fact that you care, and the fact that you're there in the event they need anything, right? And I'm sure there are a variety of ideas like that, whether it's hosting an educational event around Finance 101, or if you have a niche like Jim does, doing something more specific. And it doesn't really always have to be behind a targeted product or a service, right? It can just be, just because people have a little bit of extra time now to allocate in their schedules for things like this, I think it would be well received. Any questions around logistics, how I set it up, or anything you're thinking about or had experiences with around those types of like community-centered events? Yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
I think from a business standpoint, I'm thinking those are interesting ideas. I've thought recently about offering to help our senior center here in town. And as you said, not from a business standpoint, not from assets under management or, gosh, might there be a new account in this, but just, I've not heard that phrase that way before about building the personal brand. And I think that is, especially during this time, has to be important. But so whether it's helping at the senior center or looking for ways, I naturally want to think about ways, well, how can I leverage that, what you've just described, to generate more business, more volume, more new accounts. So I want to focus on my market, my target market. But that isn't necessarily the case. And there might be some of that happening, but your magic show that you sponsored, that you funded, then that's getting all sorts of people, many of whom may never do business with you. So it's just, but it positions you well and favorably, and the word gets out and people hear about that. So I really like that. That's a great idea. I need to think a little bit more about how that translates, without overthinking it, how that translates to what I'm doing, my lifestyle, what I have going on in my life, and also the business. But yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, and I can help you, just kind of brainstorm right now if it's a kind of good use of our time. For example, you mentioned the senior citizens, and are you specifically talking about like assisted living facilities that you'd want to offer some guidance and assistance to, or what?
Well, what I was thinking about, and I've talked to my wife a little bit about it, but our senior center here in town, they're all over Massachusetts, and they may be all over the country, but it's a council on aging has a senior center. They're actually a building, and but they deliver meals, they check in on people, they help them with tech. During tax season, they'll help them with tax returns if you've been trained for that. So it might be a matter of just, it's a good way of giving back and contributing to the community when there's a lot of people. I'm particularly impressed because I talked to a friend this morning who lives on the West Coast. His father's in his 90s, and his father is now, because he's all alone, he's in an independent living facility, but it's more like assisted living. And his dad is all alone, and he thinks he works 2 or 3 days a week. Well, he hasn't worked in years. He's in his 90s. His dad thinks that he's lost his car keys. He hasn't had a card for over a year. So I think this is really taking a toll on people, whether they're in their 90s or in their 40s, and so much time alone and not having that social. So to the extent that one way we can give back is to interact with some of the people in the community that are particularly isolated. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Whether at least a business, then maybe that doesn't really matter so much.
Yeah, no, Jim, there's a great opportunity for you to be a leader there, right? So let's say you're picking a day that you want to go out and help, deliver meals. I would send an email to all of your connections, right? Natural connections, even if you use social media, post on social media, say, hey, I'm thinking about, or I'm going to be doing this on this and this date. If you're interested, please send me a note. Would love to have your help, right? Whether it's coming with me to deliver meals or giving you things to, deliver as far as items, right? And that, again, increases your personal brand, right? You're being a leader in the community by being proactive. And then you're also doing a great deal of good for the community, and now also developing an organic, group of individuals that you may also, have as far as individuals that want to help you, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunities to kind of leverage those types of things, again, during these times, things that we probably wouldn't think, under normal circumstances that we would have to do, right? And hopefully that was a good example for you to kind of go into action and utilize that. Andrew, any opportunities in your end? Was that example helpful? Can it relate to what you're doing out in Texas?
I was curious. I mean, we've looked at doing a couple of events. We've done some office-wide seminars and market updates and cybersecurity webinars and things like that. But I was curious, when you did the magic show, how did you market it? Was it an email blast? Were you calling people, and did you open it up to, tell your friends anyone is welcome to come, or was it just people that were clients?
Yep.
What was your thoughts there, or process?
Yeah. Initially, it started via an email, right? An email invitation where folks had to register and then get a private Zoom link to attend. And then we put it up on all different social media, right? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and that created much more traction where friends of friends were inviting individuals to join. And it was great, to be able to have a good crowd for that type of an event. And again, just increase my personal brand in the community. And we had people from all over the country, right? So it wasn't really, out of the DC metro area where I'm based out of, which was really cool. It increases your footprint. And, it's not like we were soliciting any products or services to those individuals, but they knew who I was. I brought a credible individual that was on America's Got Talent, to do a magic show, and that was a referral from an existing client of mine. So things like that. And, you said your firm is doing, webinars and kind of educational things. Think about the non-business related things as well, right? Like, how can you get a group of your friends that might be in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, or people in your natural, sphere engaged in kind of a common thing that you're doing within the community, right? Like, to use Jim's example of delivering meals. I think that's a huge opportunity. I'm sure there's organizations in Austin that are dying to get some volunteers, right, for those types of things, right? So, that's a great opportunity for you to put yourself out there on email, social media, and say, hey, I'm going to be doing this for such and such charity. I'd love, or, if you're interested in helping, just let me know, shoot me a note. And again, increasing that activity that you may be missing, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. Zach, anything specific that you want me to talk about? I know we have a small group here. That's why I was kind of going scenario by scenario, but shall we talk about Lily? What do you think would be a good?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, if you wouldn't mind, I think if you could give maybe 3 takeaways, things that that you still think about today from your Lily class that you would, that you still use and you think about on a regular basis, sort of just like a 3 takeaway type of deal from your Lily.
Yeah. You guys familiar with Lily? Leadership in Life Institute, sponsored by NAFA? No? Jim, you are?
I'm familiar with it, yeah.
Okay.
But not much. So I look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, so I'll give a high level. So Leadership in Life Institute, it was a 6-month a leadership institute, like a course that we took with our peers in your respective areas, right? I think they do it by region. I was in the DC metro area, and it was a group of 8 professionals with 2 moderators that went through a curriculum in how to help you become a better leader, not only in business, but also in the community. And along with that, one of the biggest things was, the most impactful for me is how to become a better communicator, right? So in those 6 months, we have a curriculum, kind of like a mini course that you would take at a university, where there's assigned reading, there's a course binder and curriculum. Now all of it is obviously available online, where we're going through a curriculum of, learning the different types of styles when it comes to communication, different things that, you want to do when you're mentoring and leading an organization. There's the curriculum is very, very niche to being a good focused leader. I would encourage you guys to, look into the program. It's well worth it. I think it's like taking the equivalent of taking like 6 to 9 credits at a college university as far as the amount of information that I was able to retain. incredibly useful, not only, again, from a business standpoint, but also from a just personal development standpoint, right? Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any individualized questions, I'm sure Zach or the NAFA national team can kind of point you in the right direction as far as how to get involved with the upcoming class. I think they do one class per year. Is that right, Zach?
Yes, that's right. And
Yeah.
I think they're a little put on hold right now just because of all
Yeah.
the COVID stuff, but hopefully they're going to be up.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite things about this was the fact that we would get together in person once a month for 6 straight months, right? Where, you know, there would be individuals from different organizations where we would get to kind of, you know, network and build friendships that otherwise I don't think we would be building, right? Because they're, number one, in a different firm than I'm in. Number two, they might be in property and casualty versus me being on the life insurance, disability, income protection, and investment side, right? So you're interacting, you know, with almost a different industry there. And then it's also great to learn from the moderators who, you know, have gone through the process themselves and now are turning around and teaching this on a volunteer basis, right? So it's a good reiteration of, you know, how to be an effective leader for the moderators as well. And I think it just creates a really good dynamic of, you know, co-creating, you know, a learning environment where we're really focused on becoming better. It is a time commitment, so whenever you do decide to do it, if you decide to do it, I would make sure that, you know, you have probably anywhere from, you know, 4 to 5 hours a month to be able to allocate as far as studying and not studying, but doing some of the course materials such as reading and things like that. And then the actual day of the course, it's in a full day, at least it was for us, once a month for 6 months. So we would meet at 9 a.m. and we would break at 5 p.m. with like lunch in between. Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit more? Can you tell us a little bit more about how you've leveraged your NAFA membership over the years? That was one example. It sounds like that was a really positive experience and continues to be for you, and leadership in life. But how else have you used your NAFA membership, and whether it's the certifications or the national conferences? And can you talk to us a little bit about that and how that might have shaped you as a leader?
Yeah, absolutely. So NAFA to me is, you know, I mean, I feel like it's a no-brainer and it's an absolute necessity, right? If you think about, if you guys work with any medical professionals or legal professionals, those individuals belong to their respective associations, right? Whether it's the bar association as a lawyer or, you know, the medical association as a doctor or a physician, right? So it only makes sense as a similar type of professional that we are also engaged members of our association, in this case, National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, right? Because we are really the lifeblood of advocacy for our industry, right? And NAFA allows us to have that voice that carries over to the Hill and impacts rules and regulations, working on the best interest rule that, you know, just was passed recently, and all of us who are, you know, securities licensed have to, you know, sign. And I think that's in the best interest for our clients and also for us as professionals as well. But aside from the advocacy and it being kind of like the natural thing to do, I have loved the speakers that I've been able to meet over the years that have spoken about our industry, right? My coach came from NAFA, right? I met him at a NAFA conference. I think it was the Success Summit a few years ago, and understanding, you know, the fact that he's in LA, we could still work together and how much impact he's been able to have, not only in his business but in the community. That attracted me to kind of, you know, follow him in that respect, and, you know, get his pearls of wisdom. So things like that have been super beneficial for me as far as being involved in NAFA And I don't think if I, wouldn't have been a member, I don't think I would have had the opportunity to be in front of, high caliber professionals like that. And then just in my general area of DC Metro, just like any major city, I think it's very, very competitive, and there's a lot of us, right, as far as financial professionals. So being able to be face-to-face with these individuals during meetings or conferences and say, hey, Jim, tell me some of the things that are really working well for you at your firm, right? I've found personally that it's a very open and honest environment. No one's like, holding it close to the chest and being super secretive about things, right? We know that, that we need to practice abundancy, right? You need to have an abundant mentality. And I personally have been able to benefit as far as learning, how to do certain things, best practices, what companies or organizations are not doing well, maybe going out of business, things like that. From a leadership front, for me, has been really great. Intel. That was a really good question. Have you guys been involved?
Yeah, if I can I ask one more question, Zach? I don't want to monopolize but can you tell us about a little more about your coach and when you started using a coach, and particularly how that coach has, just any more you can tell us about that would be helpful.
Yeah. In the 13 years that I've been in the industry, I've had 4 different coaches. And that's not, saying that, I just didn't like the coach after a certain period of time. I was exposed to something else that attracted me, and I went in a different direction. And I think that's going to happen naturally based on where you are in your life, in your business, and where you want to go ultimately, right? But what I would say you want to look for in a coach is what type of activity do they really focus on and advocate, right? I'm naturally a high activity person. So if someone is going to continue to, help me focus on that, because I think that's the driver of everything that I do, I'm going to be naturally attracted to that person. If there's a coach that says, you know what, I'm more of a believer of like huge elephant type clients and you don't really have to, have a high amount of activity, that might be for the person that's been in the industry 30, 40 years, right? I'm not quite there yet. And the other thing is, what type of, practice have they developed, right? I prefer to personally work with someone that has industry experience and continues to be in the industry, not someone that specifically and maybe exclusively works with, advisors that are in our industry, but they don't have experience in our industry, right? You have to be able to have practiced what you're now preaching, if that makes sense. So those are the characteristics that I look for. And then what are they doing during the course of the year as a part of their curriculum to host a conference, now being virtually or in person during normal times, and how often is that happening, right? I think that's also important, as well as getting, coaching over the phone, coaching over a portal where you have access to a different resources. So resources is another thing that I would look for as well, right? So for me, activity, the resources that they have available on their platform, do they have industry experience, right? Did they do what we do, right? Or are they just kind of preaching to the masses? And then it always helps when you have a recommendation from a colleague or a peer, right? To say, hey, I've used so-and-so for a number of years and they've done this and this for me. That's always helpful, similar to the approach our clients like to take.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, good question. Anything else, Zach, that you can think of?
No, I appreciate your time today and you being able to join us and speak with us a little bit. And no, thank you. I appreciate it.
My guys, if you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out. I'm sure Zach can share my email. I'm able and willing to help as much as I can, whether it's a phone call and kind of walk you through anything that you're struggling with or trying to do and might need some ideas. happy to do it. But I encourage you guys to be as active as you can within the community, and don't be afraid to communicate. There's, you know, unless you're micromanaging someone, there's no such thing as over communication.
I really appreciate
Okay.
it. And as he mentioned, I did put my email in there. If you do have any questions for him that you want me to pass along, or you do want his contact info, I'd be happy to pass that along as well.
Awesome.
But, thanks everyone for joining. And I do appreciate your time today, and hope everyone has a great rest of their week.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.